So good morning, 20 to 9. Let's dive into the news to have a look at some stories you might not have heard about. And I'm going to ask you a question. Think of some of the biggest film franchises of all time.
Okay.
Which do you think tops the list as the one people want to see return the most?
Ooh. Return as in another film?
Another film, yeah. Another film in the franchise.
So this is not an ongoing one. This is probably one.
It's a classic sort of film. I think there've been, was only 2 of them, I think, in the 80s. Any ideas what it
Not
might
about
be?
The Godfather.
No.
There were 3 at least.
Is two a franchise?
2.
Well, that's probably. There may be more than. Well, you'll be able to correct me, I'm sure, because you know your films probably better than I do. Back to the Future is the one.
Oh, definitely 3 of them.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, at least 3. I thought.
Right.
Yeah, is there another one? Maybe?
There's one where they go ahead, don't they?
Yes, I think that's 2.
And then I think there's one where they go back to like way back, I think.
Oh, maybe that's I can't remember.
See, I've definitely seen the first 2, but
yeah,
okay,
there's definitely at least 3.
So we can call it a franchise then. Well, the creators of Back to the Future have said actually to do another movie would be like selling your kids. So I don't know if you've heard about this. Instead, they've rebooted the whole thing as a stage musical.
Yeah.
This is it. And do you know what? It opens tomorrow at Manchester Opera House. Runs there till May ahead of an expected West End transfer if it does well. And the DeLorean, I can confirm, will make an appearance. So they've definitely said no more Back to the Future movies, but the musical, and they've done this with a lot of movies, haven't they? Do you think it'll be a success?
I think so. I think anything that's already got a cult following, which Back to the Future has, will at least get that initial interest. So if it's a good production, which of course you get a lot of very successful and very talented people involved in these kind of things, there's no reason why it shouldn't be a massive success.
Yeah, it could be right there.
And it has an excellent soundtrack as well, doesn't it? So that should translate quite well, I think.
I can just see them blasting The Power of Love. That was one of the big songs, I think, from the first Back to the Future. So many movies have done this when you think about it. Sister Act has transferred to the stage. Ghost is going to be on at the Gaiety in a couple of months. Ghost, the musical, and Footloose was my favourite. That was absolutely my
translation onto the stage,
yeah,
you mean?
Yeah,
okay.
I loved it. To see that live, I was a little bit of a fan when it was in the West End years ago when I was living in London. So, yeah, if you fancy seeing it, as I say, it's on in Manchester at the Opera House, Back to the Future, the musical. It's on till May, and then we'll probably, I'm sure, head into the West End in London. Sean, what have you got for us this morning?
I have a story about a travelling horse.
All right, tell us more.
So this is Fred, who is a miniature horse, and he's a service animal, so he provides emotional support to his owner. And she had to travel, so she managed to convince American Airlines to let the horse fly in first class.
What?
Yeah, I've never flown in first class.
I feel
this horse is,
If I ever was to fly in first class, I feel I might be a bit slightly off-put by the fact that there's a horse sat next to me.
It's a miniature horse, and he was dressed in a superhero outfit.
I was going to say a suit.
Well-suited horse.
So how big is this horse then? If it's miniature, is it just
from the pictures that went with this story, he looks kind of knee-high.
Okay,
so
that's not too bad.
Big dog-sized horse.
But then I do prefer the thought of it travelling in first class than in the baggage hold or whatever. However, horses are transported normally in planes.
I don't know. That's.
I always think it must be awful for animals being in the cages and in the sort of dark areas. So
the question is, though, a horse has got to do what a horse has got to do. So how does that work if it's a sort of long flight? How long was this flight again?
This flight was from Michigan to Dallas. So I don't think that's going to be a huge flight, is it?
I don't think it's too long.
Not too bad, is it? So hopefully the horse.
American geography is being put to the test.
That's
now.
not. I don't think that'll be more than a couple of hours.
I would have thought 2 or 3 hours max. So there we go.
If he goes before he gets on the flight, it'll be fine.
There you go. Cross legs and all of that. And finally from you, Alex.
Well, when I'm Googling Michigan to Dallas, mine is a little bit about, it kind of links to your franchise story, Ben, but this is about how to build a fortune on your bookshelf.
Right.
So this is an article about how rare books can be a real gold mine if you know where to look, essentially. And of course, so many of these might be names you recognise, like the Harry Potter franchise. For example, the inscribed copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone has fetched £106,250.
Wow.
So, for beginners, the best ways to get into this, I suppose, if you're looking into how to make money on your bookshelf, would be to go for, later works of popular writers. They're the cheaper ones, but you can get first edition Roald Dahl and Agatha Christie books for around £30 to £50.
That's all right,
So
isn't it? Yeah.
you could sort of start your collection if you were willing to sort of put that amount in. But rare editions of, say, Charles Dickens and Shakespeare are the real safe bets if you can afford it.
That's all right. You've got a bit of cash. Lovely to have a first edition, though, isn't it?
I don't know if I've got anything worth that much on my bookshelf, I must say. I would like to think so. I've got an old book that my great-grandfather wrote, which, of course, is sentimental value for myself and my family, but I can't imagine it's...
That's impressive.
No
though,
offence to him. I don't think
grandfather wrote a book. That's
wrote a couple.
Yeah, very good. Right. Well, got to tell you, just quickly, Michigan to Dallas, 2.5 hours is the
Well,
flight
that's very
time.
precise.
So
Did you look it up? Did you?
I had a quick look there. So there we are.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the horse on board the plane in first class was all right and didn't have any little accidents or anything like that.